Hello, everyone. This is Paul Feldman, Insurance Newsnet. I'm here with Paul Quaranto, the CEO of Boston Mutual Life Insurance Company. I'm happy to be here with you.
Well, Paul, it's a pleasure to be with you, and I really want to thank you for the opportunity to be with you today, and really look forward to our conversation.
Tell me a little bit about how did you get into the industry?
It's kind of an interesting story, a very simple story. My wife and I, coming up on 45 years, we're engaged to be
Wow, that's
married,
awesome.
our senior year of college, and my father-in-law suggested that I should have a job before I marry his daughter, and as I interviewed on campus, I had the opportunity to take a job as a group insurance underwriter for Paul Revere, back when there was a freestanding Paul Revere before it became part of the Unum companies, and that's where it began. It began by default, and just amazing to think 45 years later, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to work in this industry and to grow into a leadership role that I never thought could ever happen. So it's been a fantastic run, and I'm very humbled and honored to be fortunate to have had this happen.
Yeah, everyone's origination story is so interesting in this industry.
Yeah, it really is. It's funny, and it's one of the problems we have as an industry is that people don't look at this industry as giving you real professional opportunity. We've developed an intern program here. I had the opportunity yesterday to sit with 6 interns from different schools that are working with us over the summer. And I try to remind these people that this industry has evolved. It's not just about actuaries and CPAs and JDs anymore, that, everything that they find in other walks of life, whether it's technology, project management disciplines, PR investments, all of that exists in this world. We need to compete in all of those areas. So this industry does provide incredible opportunities for younger people. And I believe it's an industry that also serves what many of the younger people want, which is some balance in their life, some purpose, some mission, that they feel that they're not only growing professionally, but they're meeting some of their sort of personal goals, which is to be in a meaningful role, giving something back. And I think this industry can provide that for people. We need to do a better job of telling that story.
What are you guys doing to do that?
So we've had the opportunity to be very engaged with the American Council of Life Insurers. I was honored a year ago to have the opportunity to chair that, to chair the industry. A company like Boston Mutual being selected to do that was truly an honor. And I think what it did was a couple of things. I think it was a recognition by companies of all size that a company of our size, which is small to mid-size by industry standards, and serves a unique space. We really 130 plus years ago, our first president said, we want to be a company that is a progressive life insurance company serving the needs of working families who at that time didn't have the opportunity to secure any level of financial security for their family. And you fast forward today, we're still that company. So I think having the opportunity to be that company today, to be the face of an organization saying we do serve all walks of life, and then having the opportunity to say, listen, we need to tell that story better so that people understand that what we do
Mhm.
is affordable, make it simpler. So it's not just about making it easier for customers, it's also making it easier for future employees so that they can see those opportunities and see that there is an opportunity to begin a career and grow in the jobs. And so we've, in our own way, done it with local schools. We've gone out, we've gotten engaged, we've done some teaching, we've made intern opportunities, we've gone on campus to do some counseling. And so, again, we're not the biggest player out in the world, but we're trying to do our share of it in terms of doing that. So we started off with 1 or 2 interns a number of years ago. We're up to 6 for the summer. Incredible. We had a couple of them come back. They wanted to come back. I mean, all little wins as you look at things and think
Yeah.
about, are we doing the right thing? And as I said to them yesterday, it needs to be about giving them a really good experience in terms of how they'll make their decisions about who they want to work for and what they want to do going forward. But we also look to get something from them in terms of fresh ideas, new minds, new perspectives, and it served us really, really well.
So, as a 133-year-old mutual company, what's new and exciting in your world?
Well, I think it's a combination of what isn't new and exciting and what is new and exciting. So I believe the power of our story is really, I was the seventh president. We are in the middle of a leadership transition. I am now the chairman and CEO. We have named a new president who will transition into the role. So the stability that that brings, again, John Wheeler, our first president, Progressive Life Insurance, providing working Americans that opportunity to take care of their families. That's who we are today. So who we are, what we do, why we do it, who we do it for, really hasn't changed. It's the how we do it that really needs to change. I mean, you're 100-plus-year-old mutual. We're not alone. You're dealing with all of these legacy systems, your ability to, put product on the street, make that product simple and understandable, affordable. Your ability to service your customers better with these legacy technology systems is a real challenge. And we're not just competing against each other, but we're competing against every customer experience that people have out there. So
Yeah.
what's new and different is how do we take all of that good stuff and move it into a world where we can be better at how we do it. And that's the transition that's been going on here. That's really been the theme of the vision I had and the strategic plan we had was how do we get ourselves prepared for the future so that 130 years of good stuff can be another 100-plus years of good stuff going forward.
Yeah.
And we just in this past month launched the first phase of a new policy administration platform and a new customer service model that's incredibly exciting that will serve this company really, really well.
All right, so let's talk about that.
Well, it's interesting, and I've had the opportunity in this role to get to know and meet with through a lot of industry meetings, other executives who have tried this, and I think as an industry, we've always kind of considered ourselves an expert industry that we can do these things on our own. I think what I realized early on when I talked to people who had success and who didn't have success was that before you can embark on something like that, you got to get your organization ready. You got to evaluate, do you have all the disciplines that you need to effectively take on a project of that magnitude and move forward? So, we needed to bolster our IT area. We needed a project management discipline that came into the company. We needed not only actuaries, but data scientists that could really begin to help us understand where our data was stored and how we were going to get it and put it into new system, convert it over. So we needed to take a hard look. So the organization had some gaps that we had to fill. And then we needed to make sure that the people that were in the organization were capable of handling the change that was going to take place over time. And we're excited and encouraged to be part of that journey, recognizing that some of us had to hold the fort today while we build out tomorrow. And so it required a very thoughtful strategy on the people side of things as well. And so we took 2, 3 years of getting ready for this before we went to market to evaluate a vendor that could provide a platform to us that could give us, we were hoping for 70, 80% out of the box was the terminology we were using. So we didn't have to customize, and we feel like we found it. And it's like anything good in life, it probably takes longer than you would have thought at the outset, but I think
Everything takes twice as long
it
or
sure does,
twice
at
as
least
much.
twice. But by doing it right, you give yourself a greater chance of success. And I feel
Absolutely.
like one of the milestones as we wrap up our strategic plan, we had several milestones for this year. One was to do what we just did, which really to get this thing launched and to move forward. And we're really, really excited about it. And like I said, organization, people, supporting a vision and a strategy, I think was the combination of how we approach this. And it worked pretty well for us.
So tell me how your data scientists work, since you brought that up. Like
Well,
I find that fascinating because I don't think a lot of people think about data science in life insurance.
yeah, I sort of, we're a world that lives in actuaries, and I would consider myself a generalist. I always joke with people as I got into the succession pool for my role. The initials I had after my name were Junior, so I went back as a 50-plus-year-old and got an MBA and did some things that were incredibly helpful, and that happened to be at one of the schools that's part of our intern program as we grow out future employees and customers. But our chief actuary, a dear friend of mine, I would always joke with him that, we need to morph from actuaries to data scientists. He goes, "What do you mean by that?" And I said, "Well, actuaries are great at looking backwards. Data scientists are going to be the ones who look forward and take that data and really begin to do more predictive analytics and use the data to help us better understand and give us a greater chance of success for the things that we want to do going forward." So I do think that, and to a certain extent, and this is where you begin to get into discussions about where does AI take us in the long run. It's really about access to data which is difficult with legacy systems, and then how you're going to use that data to support future planning. And I think that it is historically for actuaries. I always joke the current actuarial tables were probably 10 to 20 years old. We've got to get a little bit more current and relevant so that we can use the data. So I think they're kind of the same, but there is sort of a focus of one has always been sort of wired to look back, and we need others to look forward and really understand the power of data.
Let's dive deeper in that because I like this conversation. What are you guys doing with the data and how's that helping Boston Mutual?
So we have done a couple of things. First of all, we had to identify how to access our data. I mean, 130 plus year old company, we've got lots of data. But with some of our legacy systems, a lot of that data was not as readily available as you might think it was. A lot of it was baked into some of our programming. So coming up with a strategy on how we can access the data, how we can scrub the data so that you're using accurate data as you pull it out. And so we've made great progress on that. And that's critical to not only using data today, but preparing your organization for a conversion from those old legacy systems to a new system because you need clean data to bring forward into the new system.
Absolutely.
Where it's really been helpful for us at the outset is we've really looked to apply more science, if you will, Paul, to sort of distribution, our sales efforts. Where are our target markets? Who is actually our customer? What can we learn about who they are from a socioeconomic standpoint? How can we use data to identify where they live, where they work, the types of jobs they're in? And how can we better, go from that sort of, broad-based approach to a more narrow focus with our sales team? We use primarily a wholesale model out there where we have our reps calling on independent agents, brokers, third parties to represent customers and sell a lot of our business at the workplace. And so helping our people to be better at that, it improves our closing ratios, improves participation levels because they're voluntary benefits. People have to sign up for them. And so the data initially has been really, really helpful. We've also used data as far as our own employees are concerned, better understanding, what is it about our company that makes us a viable option for them as far as a professional employment opportunity, and how do we get feedback on who they are, what they want, and how they want to grow personally and professionally, and how do we create an environment where that can happen? Because I think that's probably one of the items that has emerged more leading up to the pandemic, but really accelerated post-pandemic is just, your employee base, understanding who they are, what they want, how you satisfy what they want professionally, how you give them the balance they're looking for between their personal and professional lives. I mean, that's become very much all-consuming and really, really important without good people, you
Yeah,
can't
no,
you
no,
can't
no
do
business
any,
runs without
all
good
this other
people.
stuff can be great, but if you
Yeah,
don't have good people doing it for you,
yeah.
it's just not going to happen.
So, what are some surprising discoveries you learned from using data analytics into your clientele?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, I think we're still early days as far as getting our hands. I think some of the surprises was how hard it was to get at our data. I mean, that's one of the things as I settled into the leadership roles back in early 2012, trying to understand how we're going to get at that, and again, getting into that. Where are the gaps in the organization? Where are the people? How do we make sure we can do this? So the surprise one was how hard it was to get at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so that was interesting. Surprise two was really just how, and it was a good surprise, really, how the data validated the socioeconomic profile of who we serve. I mean, really, if we believe we serve a lower middle income market, and we know the profile, a lot of single moms. We know the earning ranges. I mean, all of a sudden it validated. So it helped us to really think better about what products do we need to do to serve those people. If we want to move the needle on that to a broader base of customers, what do we need to be thinking about? That data told us
hmm,
what we're doing today works here, but if we don't want to stop doing that here, but if we want to grow that up a little bit, then how do we think about that? How do we create focus groups? And we built out another discipline we call our external affairs innovation and communication teams. How do we use that discipline to go out and understand better that if we want to broaden that gap? Because part of our problem right now, Paul, is that the people we serve are probably some of the most economically challenged people in the marketplace. So while many of them want to do right by their families and look to us for some sort of a guaranteed solution if something
Interesting.
bad happens in their lives, we're seeing people struggle to make their premium payments, and that's reality. So, making sure that what we're doing is simple, understandable, they understand what their options are, but also allowing us as a company to sort of push up a little bit and be a little bit more relevant, gives us a little bit more stability and some growth opportunities in the markets we serve.
That's absolutely fascinating to hear. And I think the data, it validates what we do
Yeah,
because we think we do something and you don't know really
yeah,
until you
exactly.
look at the data.
Yeah, and that's what's fascinating is you're not looking at a 10-year window. You're looking at 134 years, and
Yeah.
it's so. I mean, that's an actuary would tell you that's pretty credible, right? So yeah, and I think that's again. So it helps us. It really grounds us in understanding. I mean, a lot of what we did when we put together this vision, the strategic plan a number of years back to say we got a company that was in a really good place. We had a great balance sheet. We were in a good place. But how do we sustain that? How do we grow that? How do we serve more people? How do we serve them better? It was really about understanding who we are, creating some guiding principles, some foundational pieces, really trying to give a voice to what we felt our brand was. We did some good work on that. Family Matters, no matter what, is our brand, and we used some inside people. We morphed it into an outside consulting project, and they said, "This is who you guys are. You represent for this population of people an extension of family and being there to help take care of them." And I think that that's our place in this industry, and I think this industry does some amazing work. And I think that even, as a company, we need to do a better job of telling that. But as an industry, we do as well, because if you think about the guarantees, the security provided through the life insurance industry, through all phases of life,
100%.
I mean, basically 2/3 of what gets paid out by our government entitlement programs every day is paid out by this industry. Without this industry doing that, where are people with an entitlement program that arguably is under some pressure over the long run, right, to sustain itself? And so we have a place to serve our customers, to serve our sellers, to serve our agents, to serve our communities, and to serve our country. I mean, you think
Yeah.
about who we are in providing that protection, but who we are in terms of investing in our country, in our economy. This idea of patient capital, long-term capital that we provide for this country. So I think the industry is a noble one. It's easy for me to say, and I'm, kind of on the
I
back
agree.
end of
I
my
agree
career, but it's a
wholeheartedly on
noble
that one.
industry doing good things. And yet nobody knows that. I mean, how do
Yeah.
we, that was my pitch when I did my year in the ATO. Let's tell our story better.
How do we do a better job telling our story?
Well, I think the industry has really come together. I think our sort of national trade association, the American Council of Life Insurers, we've been blessed with Susan Neely was one leader.
Awesome.
Now David Chavern has come in the role with Susan's retirement, and they've done a fabulous job of really sort of changing the optics of who we are. Sort of, Susan was a big believer in four positions. I sort of love that thing. What do you stand for? So I think beginning to tell people what we
Like it.
stand for and all the things we just talked about, and David's carried that torch a little bit further. But in addition to that, they've created unity amongst the industry. So, well, we're all doing our thing. We're all competing to some extent, but not. I think coming together to understand that we collectively need to tell our story better to the public, but also up in Washington to make sure that there's an appreciation for what we did. And people will think what they will about the president's bill, but back in 2017, this industry was targeted for a big pay for all that was done, and arguably could have done some serious damage to our ability to deliver on promises and all those guarantees we made. And so, we spent a lot of time. I was down there just a month ago up on the Hill. Again, just talking to people about, remember what we do and why it's important, and think about what the impact would be on this industry if you look for us
Yeah.
um, to pay more taxes, to do different things. And so we were successful, a lot of good work, but I don't think the work is done. I don't think we even scratched the surface, Paul. I think We need to do a better job of saying we serve all walks of life. We need to make it simpler and understandable. It's a complex business, and what goes on behind the curtain can be complex, but what people see on the face of it, we need to do a better job of telling that story. Because we can all tell stories, right? When I get letters every day for a company of our size, a five or ten or $15,000 life insurance policy is basically saving a family. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't live in that world every day, but most people in this country live in that world. That's pretty powerful stuff. It really
I
is.
mean, I couldn't agree with you more. So you guys are serving lower to middle market citizens in this country.
Yes.
What is something an agent should know about that? Because I think that's so underserved. And how do we serve it better?
Well, I think you sort of indirectly asked a question, and AM Best had their annual review preview conference, and they'd asked me to sit on a panel, and one of the questions was about distribution. And one of the things I worry about, it'll be beyond my time, but as far as the industry is concerned, when you look at the markets we serve, is what is the future distribution model going to look like? Because I mean, a lot of the distribution, well, distribution is aging, first of all, right? We know that the
Yes.
aging population of the people in the distribution and the economics of it really are such that you're going to be geared towards pursuing wealthier, more affluent clients than you are the average working person. So, again, for us, part of the metamorphosis of Boston Mutual was we started off selling life insurance policies at the kitchen table, and really, you fast forward today, we sell them at the cafeteria table, right? So we're using the workplace as a
Hmm.
leverage point, and I think a lot of companies are looking at that. When you get to the markets we serve, when you think about access and you think about the time and you think about payroll deductions, there is a means that's more efficient in terms of selling the products. We are selling some group chassis products, not to get techie, but we still sell a traditional
Get techie. That's what we're here to do.
but we still sell a traditional individual whole life product that really is built to serve those markets. And that's a policy that employee owns, right? So regardless of whether they stay in the employee, regardless of what they have the opportunity to maintain that policy. It's their policy forever. And so part of what we want to represent through the agents we sell through is that if an employer really believes that they want to provide something of value to their employees, something that, and again, our market generally are companies that we will sell small companies down to 5 lives, up to 200, 250 lives. That's sort of the range of it. If you're concerned about your people and you want to give them a viable product or products that can provide a level of protection they feel they need, then let's have a conversation because it's for us, it's about giving them that level of security and a product that they can own and carry forward. If an employer is just looking to put a menu of products out there and leverage insurance buy with a technology platform that can also serve as an HR system for them, and all they want are products that'll plug into that, and they don't care if only 3% of the group signs up, that's not who we want to talk to. I want to talk to Paul, who's got 30 employees, who knows most of them, and is concerned that if this Paul was something were to happen, I know the family, and I don't want to be in a position where I don't have anything, and I either need to keep them on the payroll, do something. You can give them that policy, life insurance, accident, critical illness, whatever, and they have a level of protection. And if you have that sort of sense as an employer, then that's someone we want to talk to, right? That's a value we can bring to them. We don't want to be a commodity. We want to be a value add for that family. We want to continue to give that family the opportunity to have security, guaranteed security, for whatever happens at the stage of their life that they're buying a product from us for.
Do you find the mindset is different in that market?
Yeah, I think so. Here's the rub, if you will. You have agents that work really hard, and again, depending upon the products they sell and the face value of the products, they make a certain level of commission. So, you know, if they're trying to be more transactional in terms of a volume game where they're trying to get in and write more business, which is understandable if that's what they need to do to make the economics work for them, then we're not going to be as good a fit. We need distribution that wants to build that relationship with their client, with the employer, who wants to represent that to their. And we're finding, at least in the world that exists coming out of COVID, I believe anyway, there are more people that have that feeling. I think we lived through this crazy pandemic and saw all of mostly bad. I mean, there's probably some things that came out of it that make us better today, but I'd rather have found different ways to learn to be better than what we went through, right? But I just, I think that there are more people, more employers that want to do that because they understand that's part of the value they bring in terms of attracting people to work for them. But
Hmm.
also, they have relationships with their people. Again, if you're talking small to mid-sized companies, there's a relationship there, and they don't want to be in a position where that family is going without and they haven't done enough for them. And again, for the employer, it's really just giving access to an agent to enroll them and setting up a payroll slot. And that's really what it is. And so again, it's just explaining to them and again, finding agents that want to do that. And that's where our focus is. That's where that back to that data question. So we use the data to understand who. We do our homework on the people that, are going to be out there representing us selling that. And some want to tell the story, some don't, and that's okay. But if you want to tell the story, we'd like to keep talking to you and see if we can find a way to do it together and to do it better.
So you guys are a mutual company.
Yes.
Tell us, a little bit about what makes a mutual company
Well, I think,
better.
we
If
talk about the goodness of mutuality here at Boston Mutual, and I think that, I think one of the things, obviously, the challenge is your capital, right? I mean, you're a mutual company, basically, you generate your own capital through your operating performance. That's, at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. But the benefits are that your interests are really aligned. I mean, we're owned by our policyholders for the
yeah.
benefit of our policyholders. So we're not trying to appease quarterly market returns versus long-term promises to clients. So I think the fact that we're aligned is really to our benefit. I think it allows us to really live everything I just talked to you about, right? In terms of our brand and the value that we want to bring to the table. I think that what it does is it affords us this opportunity to say, as a mutual company, we want to serve obviously our customers. We know who they are. We want to serve the people who sell us. We want to serve our employees. We want to serve our communities, and we've done a lot of work. And I think as a mutual company, we have an obligation to serve our communities. We've developed a Making an Impact program. We've been recognized 7 years in a row as one of the most charitable organizations in Massachusetts. We've aligned our charitable giving to the markets and the people that we serve so that we want to be sure that what we're doing is aligned. We're doing things along the educational line, what we talked about before. And again, and being part of that bigger picture of supporting this country through economic investments, corporate bonds. We've signed on to initiatives through the ACLI that aren't necessarily available to companies of our size around efforts to address affordable housing and those sort of things. So there is a bigger picture, a greater good that exists that
Mhm.
as a mutual company, we can touch all those. And again, at the end of the day, we've got to be successful. We've got to try to grow our business and do it the right way. But it allows us to align all those pieces well.
So you may or may not want to answer this question, but I'm going to ask it. And if you don't answer it, it's fine. What did you see in the big, beautiful bill that is good for the industry?
What is, and I'll answer it simply, what is good for the industry is that there were no changes made to our tax
Hmm.
basis, if you will, to use sort of
Yeah.
plain English. The way and Paul, you probably know this very well, but how we are taxed is a very complicated situation. It's not
Oh,
straightforward.
yes.
Yeah, it's incredibly complicated. And there's pieces to it. So you could change the tax rate, but there's an offsetting factor somewhere else in terms of how they tax reserves and other things. If all of that stuff isn't contemplated, something that seems as simple could trickle through or ripple through and cause some damage. So, what we did back in 17 was take a situation that would have been quite devastating to the industry, got us back to basically a neutral position, and our efforts for that bill were really just to maintain that neutral position. We weren't asking for anything back, but we weren't asking to give any more. And again, we want to make good on the promises. These are guarantees,
Yes.
and we want to
Well,
make
that's
sure.
what our business is built on.
Well, it is, and guarantees that, God willing, for most people are decades out, right? So, you start changing the game and you've priced a product today for somebody that, that might be passing 40 years from now, you start making changes along the way. That puts pressure on the company to deliver on that. And again, I think we're well regulated by the states. We're very conservative in terms of how we invest. I mean, I think the world is changing a little bit as more companies are not mutual, and we have some private equity coming at this. All of that's just the world we're living in. But it's still a well managed, conservatively managed, prepared to deliver,
Indeed.
prepared to do the right thing. And I think that's a pretty good industry.
So, Paul, what's new and exciting in your front? Like, you guys developing some products? What's new, and where do you see going in the future?
Yeah, it's a great question, Paul, and I can't tell you. There's a little bit of pride might shine through here now. I really thought when I had the opportunity and was blessed to be able to take over in the leadership role back in 2012 that we really had a great solid financial foundation. But to the points I made earlier, we needed to focus on getting back to our basics, really building out a distribution channels that were focused on the markets that we serve and supporting that in terms of getting a platform in place that allowed us to create a customer service model that really let us take care of our people and would compete out there in the general world of it. So I think that we sort of set out. We had this vision of who we wanted to be and the strategy. So I think that as we roll through 25, which set up for a natural leadership transition, our milestones are really to have distribution in a place where we are attracting. We've done some really neat things with small business opportunities, micro business opportunities. We're trying to get to people that really need us, in addition to our sort of bread and butter stuff. Coming out of the pandemic, I think everybody was challenged on the customer experience front. So we worked really hard to get our customer experience back to what people have come to expect from us, and we're in a good place. And in the meantime, we've built out this new model, this new platform that we're rolling out, and we've really invested in our people. We've really said, look, we want good people. We want good people to come here, to stay here, to help us
Yeah.
grow, to feel engaged and feel powerful. And so all of that is coming together in what we call Vision 2025 at a time where the company is, I think, is well positioned for some profitable growth to not only continue to serve the markets we serve, but to sort of push the limits a little bit up. I think the new system will give us the opportunity to develop some new products that can be a bit simpler for the markets that we serve. I think that's something that lies ahead for us. We'll have the ability to develop those products and bring them to market better than we have today. So I think the company's in a really good place foundationally to take it to the next level. And we were blessed to be upgraded by AM Best 7 or 8 years ago. And my hope for this company in the next few years, you'll see us taken from an A to an A plus rating, which is,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, we're in yeah, we were,
Good for you.
yeah. So I think it's a good story. Time will tell. That's my story anyway. But I think it's easy for me to say, right? But
Of
I'm
course.
very, very proud of the people here and their passion for this company and the people we serve and for each other. And yeah, I think we've come together and done some pretty amazing things.
Yeah, I mean, the people behind the scenes are the key to any company.
Yeah,
And most people never see that
no.
or
And I'll tell you, that's a
respect it
huge
for
mistake,
that
huge
matter.
mistake, huge mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What should an insurance agent understand about the industry from as you see it?
Yeah, I tell you, the first thing I do, Paul, we have these, I mean, you know how this whole thing works. We have these agent trips where people qualify, and I get the opportunity to chat with the agents. And the first thing I always do is just thank them, right? I said, you guys are the front line of this industry. You're the people out there, educating people on the need for this, the option to have some level of financial security, whatever you deem that to be, whatever your priorities are. And then, God forbid, they need to tap into that. You're the one that's there to deliver them the check. So I think they should. I think everyone gets caught up, as you put it, in the day to day, the headaches. I got this problem. I got that problem. At the end of the day, you're doing something really good. You're doing something to help people. When something bad is happening in their life, you're going to be there to help them through that.
True.
And I think reminding people that this is a noble industry. And that might sound a little cheesy, but I believe it's a noble industry
Oh, we have to be cheesy
doing
because
doing
that's what we
really,
do.
really good things for people. So
Yes.
so I think that it's just reminding them of that there is financial opportunities for them in that, but it's not just about financial opportunities, it's about that ability to give back. It's about to help people. And if that resonates, we need more people in the space. I think the challenge is going to be creating economic models that allows agents to serve middle, lower middle to middle, maybe a little above markets in a way that they can feel good about what they're doing, do really good work, and make a good living. And I'm not talking crazy living, good living that justifies it. And that I think distribution in the industry, the sellers and the manufacturers, if you will, need to come together to work on that, because I think that to me is what's going to be really important. Because I don't think you put most of what we sell on a platform and expect people to just wake up and go say, God, I'm going to buy life insurance today and figure out what's right for them. They still need there needs to be a technology play to help them to make it easier, but I think they still need counsel and advice. And I think that's what we need to provide. And we need to find an efficient way that we can do that, and find good people that are happy with making a living doing that. Because I think and the more people I think the opportunity is huge, by the way. I think this space is clearly the underserved, underinsured space. That lower middle to middle market is
Yes.
is why, and they need us and we need them, and that's the market we need to focus on serving. And we're trying to do our piece of it, and I think a lot of other great companies are trying to do the same thing. And like I said, we're smart people. We can solve for this.
One would hope. So you're involved with the ACLI. What type of things are you seeing?
Well, I think, as I said, I think the industry has really, really come together in terms of understanding that we need to be unified in terms of, presenting who we are, and sort of what our needs are. And needs is a strong word. It's just like, just who we are and why it's important. So if there are things that you're going to do up in Washington or in the state capitals that are going to affect us, please give us a call and at least have the conversation with us so that we can have a dialogue. And I think we've done a good job of that. I also think the ACLI is very focused on the optics of the industry in terms of making it a more
Hmm.
positive optic of what we do and the opportunities we present. And so I think that's a lot of what's going on. Trust me, between Washington, the state capitals, the NAIC, all the insurance commissioners, there's always going to be plenty of work for the ACLI to be doing great work they do on our behalf, to keep an eye on all that's going on and to have our voice in all the discussions that we need to have. But again, I think the better job we do of articulating the value of this industry at all levels, the economic level, the community level, financial security for American citizen level, I think all of those other conversations, when you get to a tactical level, become easier.
So is there anything that you see concerning or that we should be fighting for?
Well, I think we took a moment to, and I hate to say celebrate, not a no change, but I think we after
Yes.
2017 we were genuinely concerned that the shoe could drop at the last minute and we might get tapped for some of the pay fors. And so now I think it's regroup and think about it. Again, I don't think there's anything looming today. I mean, I think right now, I mean, one of the issues, and we didn't talk about it, we've had this ongoing issue around the fiduciary rule that's surfaced every so often. We
Yes.
talked a bit about distribution, and well, the fiduciary rule was really earmarked at annuities, or more the financial products, if you will. It's not hard to imagine a slippery slope where that then gets into the life insurance space. And if you're looking for fiduciary status and you're talking about selling to somebody making, $65,000 a year at the workplace, I'm not sure they're
Nobody
going
wants
to.
to talk to him.
No, they can't talk to them, right? So who serves that market back to
Yeah.
distribution? So we've had good luck in terms of that seems to be quiet for the time being. So but there's all sorts of technical stuff behind the scenes that we need to get refocused on and move back. But I think again, it's just trying to help people see this industry for what it is. And 45 years at it, I think I've grown to appreciate more what this industry does. I'm blessed to have an opportunity just to get a job and end up here. I mean, come on. And at a company
We're all
where I,
blessed, right?
at a company where I say to people, I grew up in a family that basically is the type of family we serve. And when we were selling debit insurance, it wasn't Boston Mutual. I joke with my friends at John Hancock. I said, it was a John Hancock agent. I can remember Mr. Cahill coming by and collecting the debit. My mom would have an envelope, and that's where we started. That's who we are. And I had an opportunity to take this. And like I said, what I love about this company is we've remained true to that. And we want to be better at helping these people provide for the future. That's all.
And I think that's absolutely noble,
Yeah. Thank you.
to use your own words back at you. And I do think this is a noble profession. Like what we do is amazing.
Yeah, I think it really is.
Yes,
And the numbers
absolutely.
bear it up. The numbers do bear it up if you look at it. So, yeah.
One of my favorite questions to ask is what did I not ask you that I should have?
Ah, well, I think one of the interesting things I'm finding right now, and here I am, I'm 45 years in it, and we're in our transition. So I'm obviously reflecting on all that's gone on here and what we've been able to accomplish. But I really, one of the things that strikes me, and I've got to meet so many good people through the ACLI in this industry, and respect and love them all. They're just amazing folks. It's just um, the pace of the issues and the scope of the issues that you face in these leadership jobs today has increased. It was increasing anyway, but what the pandemic did to us, Paul, um, it made things bigger, faster, stuff that you would never have thought about before in a leadership
I
job. You're
know.
thinking about now.
Yeah.
Um, Interesting. I kind of felt like one of the new guys, and now I'm one of the tenured guys. I mean, I think that the life cycle of people in leadership roles is actually coming down. I think you're seeing more retirements just because it is sort of crazy and fast. And I think, your ability as a leader to keep that all under control, to see that bigger picture and manage it to the issues that affect you, the priorities that you need to, and not get caught up in trying to deal with everything today. I think dealing with the employee population at work, not at work, are they happy? Are they not happy? They want a promotion. But all of that stuff is real, and it's real to them, and it should be real to us. I mean, we as leaders need to be more self-aware of ourselves and our biases, and open-minded to all that's going on than ever before. But at the same time, you can't solve for everything. You need to stay focused on what it is that you need to be focused on. That is either the biggest risk or the biggest opportunity. So I just think as I look back at my time in this role, the last few years were very different than the first few years. I mean, so much of what I deal with today was things for the first 7 or 8 years I probably thought a little about, but they weren't in my face every day.
Yeah, the world has changed so much.
Yeah,
So I'm going to ask you one other question.
sure.
Where do you see AI taking this industry?
Yeah, it's funny. AI is fascinating, right? And everyone wants to know about AI, and I think
Of course.
it starts. And what does AI mean, right? I mean, we've got automated underwriting engines, right? I mean, is that AI? It's some form of AI. I mean, then you go to the extreme where we go on and type something and tell them to do this interview for us, and neither of us show up, and it's all done, right? That's AI, right? So I still think as an industry. I think there's going to be a role for AI. At a personal level, I think the bigger companies probably have more bandwidth to sort of begin to test that more. I think at the smaller, mid-sized company level, it's going to be more about automation than it is about true AI, that using technology to automate and create efficiencies and scale will be, and I think we're already on that path. I think the regulators are really struggling with this. I mean, the question to me is like, okay, how do you
Mhm.
know AI is right? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
I mean, who's going to check to see if it's right? So, and here we are in a business where being right is really important. So I think everybody's enamored with it. It's the sort of sexy new topic. It
Yeah, I
was
know. It's like the
when
buzzword.
cyber first came out, everybody wanted to
Yeah.
talk about cybersecurity, right? And so let's break it down into what we want to talk about with it. So we are at the point of now creating governance policies around how we will look at AI opportunities and create a governance framework around that, and that will serve us well. And we've got an innovation team that's sort of sticking its toe in the water and looking at some different things and trying to get our head around what some of those applications could be down the road. But with our new system, we want to apply some technology to help us be efficient with underwriting, with claims. I think, is that AI? Not in the sense that people want to talk
So
about.
much of AI today is if A plus B equals C,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
think that's AI, and
Yeah.
it's simply not.
No, it's just using technology.
Yeah.
We talk about early on. My line was, I want to apply technology to process and people to our customers. So that was one of my mantras when we first started. And that's what you're talking about is just it's applying technology to process, right?
Yes.
Where it's pretty rote. You have formulas, you do whatever, and you let the technology do it. Then your people are talking to the customers. They're taking care of the customer. So the people aren't doing the process. They're talking to the customers. That's what customer experience is, right? So I think a lot of time is being spent on it, and it should be. But I think for most companies in the space, um, given what we do and how important it is, how regulated it is, it's we got a way to go.
Paul, I really enjoyed this conversation.
Okay.
I really appreciate your time
No,
today.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you. It was wonderful.
Yes.
I could talk all day on this stuff, you can tell.
I know. You're good.